Do you think it's a worthwhile trade-off to end a chicken's life in order for you to get big gains in the gym? Do you think eating meat is unethical? Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another brand new podcast of the Enlightenment podcast, where we talk about spiritual ideas that transform your life for the better. Today I'm joined with Sumed, and we're here talking about spirituality, primarily spiritual food. Let's talk about this. Enlightening food, spiritual food, mystical food. Is there such a thing as mystical food? You can put potato chips in your body. Probably that's not going to lead you to mysticism. You can put various things in your body. We're going to debate if it has any consequence or not. So, starting off, what do you think about this topic, Sumedh? Do you think there's such a thing as spiritual food?
I think the spirit is food. Because you're already complete. You don't need anything else. However, in terms of survival, yeah, we do need food to survive. And so certain foods can be more vibrationally attuned, I guess you could say, more higher consciousness than other types of food. But I think it depends on the intention of the person eating it, the consumer of that food. So it's not what you put in your mouth that matters, it's what comes out of your mouth that matters. So how you're speaking about the food that you're eating, that's going to affect you way more than if you had fried rice or like pizza someday. You know what I mean? So
Yes,
I think that, yeah, go ahead.
No, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. If you want to continue, or please continue.
What I was just saying is that a lot of the times before I eat, I heal my food before eating it. And this is a practice that I've done for many years. And it just makes me feel like a clean vessel when I'm consuming something. And understanding what it really means to consume that specific thing. They say you are what you eat. Is that really true? If you eat a chicken, do you become a chicken? You know, I don't know, you know. Um, However, hey, maybe some chickens have to die for my body to become like Thor or something like this, right? That's this exchange that is happening through this universe. And whether karma plays into that or not, that's a very interesting idea. I've had a lot of vegan warriors, keyboard warriors, show up to my streams and try to sell me on this veganism thing. I think it's a powerful concept and understanding, but I also feel like it's very diluted. A lot of hidden agendas, a lot of curveballs, let's just say. So, yeah, it's really about how intentional and intuitive you are when you're eating. I think to fine tune your own self, your own system, your body knows what is best for you and what isn't. I grew up with a lot of allergies and so forth. Then I slowly started to understand my body does not accept these things because of the way that I'm thinking about them in my mind. So if some doctor is telling you you're allergic to peanuts or something and your skin gets a rash every time you eat it, you have such a conditioning and programming based on peanuts and so many years of that, it's tough to unravel that allergy. But then just like taking honey for me like helps my allergies, or like taking random different kinds of food helps me. So it's about knowing your body and your body's mechanism.
So, based on what you said, I can assume that you don't eat a vegan diet, you eat meat. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. Yeah.
And what is it about eating meat that you like so much, and why not go vegan?
Mm. I understand there's things around, plant protein and things like this, like broccoli has the same amount of protein. Oh, I understand that argument. I think that mainly for me, I think meat has been good to me and my physical body. It's helped me transform myself, and that energy that was later, that earlier it was very, it would go up and down, it would dip my energy, especially when I just used to consume, let's say, vegetarian food or vegan food. I've tried it for maybe a few weeks to a month, and my body wasn't tolerating it. So maybe it's just like any other diet where you go through the process for a while and then your body starts to acclimatize. My body did not acclimatize to that. So personally, I enjoy eating meat. I think it's a personal preference, not a spiritual inclination. Of course, I do love animals and so forth. However, that doesn't reflect on what I eat. Um, I personally love eating steaks, burgers, things like this. I find it revitalizes me, let's just say.
You said it doesn't reflect back on you. I'm not understanding. What does that mean?
I'm trying to think of what I said that in reference to.
Oh, you said you
Um,
love animals, but it doesn't reflect back on what I eat.
yeah, so the way I think about it is that the animal's karma is already in that cycle of completion. There's a poacher that comes in, there's some kind of a process with the meat factory, and then there are people handling that meat, and it's their karma that's getting intertwined with that animal's legacy, you could say, or lineage. Now, whether someone chooses to consume that, I think that karmic cycle has already had its time. It's been through birth and death. And so now, as you consuming the meat, now it's up to you to what it means to you to consume that meat. If you're doing it to because you have an inherent hate for animals, that meat is going to mess you up because your cells are going to know that. But if you are treating the meat with respect and having gratitude for it and eating it from a space and standpoint of this is going to help me, it's going to heal me, it's going to make me feel stronger in the gym and so forth, then it's a different um, way of perceiving it and living. Yeah.
Do you think it's a worthwhile trade-off to end the chicken's life in order for you to get big gains in the gym?
Mm, yes and no, maybe. Because I don't know what that chicken's karmic destiny is or was. It could be the worst chicken in the world. You know what I mean? Whatever that means in a moral standpoint. So I think that me being swole or not does not have anything to do with that chicken's life. It's a process of what has been conditioned through bodybuilding and all of these ways that we have to eat meat like a specific way in order to gain muscle. However, for me personally, I'm just speaking from my own experience, of course. When I do go off meat, I find myself my mindset is very flexible. My mindset is very adaptable, and I can weave with things a lot easier. But when I'm eating meat and when I'm pushing in the gym, my mind becomes more sharp, more tough. So to balance that out, it's like don't overdo the meat, don't overdo the not eating meat in a sense. It's like in moderation because it will affect your mind in some way, right? This
Hmm.
weird carnal thing that's going on, like I need blood or something like that, right? Maybe it's just my genetics going against that and like trying to fine tune a way to you know, uh, get the best outcome or something like this.
Do you think eating meat is unethical?
Yes, because factory farming is a business. You know, it's ultimately it's the shortcut way of dealing with food, right? So you, you know, when I was in New Zealand, I just came back from New Zealand from the trip, and there, when I ate meat there, I felt alive. I felt different because of the quality of the meat and the way they procure that meat and farm that meat. Well, over here, sometimes I'll eat meat and I'll get this weird, like a dip or a crash in my energy almost, in a sense. Now, that could be from other things, oils and so forth, but I think that. What was your original question again, Shiva?
If it's unethical to eat meat.
Yeah. Is it unethical to eat meat? It really depends because of how the meat is being handled. And whether you want to entwine your karma into that. uh, yeah. What do you
Do
think about that? Are you a vegetarian, vegan?
I've been vegan for maybe more than a year now.
Hmm.
Um, I changed my diet as a result of this being here, Shiva. A year ago, I saw that there's no possibility of me growing spiritually. If I want to take the elevator expressway upwards, I have to drop this.
Hmm. Mm.
And
Okay.
after that, I realized so many things that I've been on a vegan diet on and off since I was 19. I'm 29 now. But every month, every so often, I would say, "Hey, what's the big deal? Eat some chicken wings." And I didn't get it. I didn't get it. I didn't click until very recently. I realized that I just can't put it in my body anymore. I can't eat it. Uh, it's it's a little bit tricky because people think it's food. People think it's just food. Oh, it's just meat. Well, that meat has to be something has to die in a quite
Yeah.
horrific way. Nobody wants to die. Chicken wants to live just as much as you or anybody else. So I think that this is a very worthwhile topic to discuss, especially in the coming
Hmm.
year, 2025.
Yeah.
We need to think about how this kind of works. So I have one more question to ask you relating to this topic. I know
Hmm.
you didn't know the topic at hand. You kind of just ambushed you here.
Yeah.
But what I want to ask you is, let's say that there were no more factory farms. And
Mm.
you, okay, I understand meat tastes good. I don't disagree with that. Meat tastes amazing. And now you have the option to go and buy chickens yourself or pigs or cows. But you have
Mm.
to do the dirty work, meaning you have to end them.
Mm.
Would you do that still? And as often as you eat right now?
Yeah, but I think it would take there would be need to be a transitional phase where I get accustomed to that because that's so new to my consciousness. I don't know if I'd be able to handle that unless I was put into the fire and I knew exactly what was going on. So for someone who would maybe mentor me or train me in how to do that, that would raise my self-esteem to be able to handle that kind of activity. But for right now, I would say no. Um, I don't like the sight of blood. Um, I could have been a doctor. Both my parents are doctors. I didn't go that route. I understood there's non-invasive ways to cure and heal. It's not necessary that we have to put someone under the microscope, under the scalpel, in order to heal. So, in a similar way, I think that, yeah, I mean, food has a consciousness, but just make sure that your consciousness is clean first before trying any other thing, substance, food, anything. Yeah.
Yes, that's true.
Mm.
Okay, what else to talk about? One thing worth mentioning when I go back in time 2023 when I first discovered this, 2022, I think, the end of 2022. I realized that I couldn't eat meat anymore. I had to stop. So I stopped. And then for the next 2 weeks, I experienced the detox symptoms much more severely than ever before. I've gone many months without eating meat, but this was real because consciously I made the decision. That's it. I know for a fact I won't go into this. The first thing that started purging was the hormones, the added hormones that these animals go through. And I was feeling this out of my own body was coming out. It was not pleasant. The second thing was the pain, the emotional pain. I felt it in my heart. These living beings or these animals had to suffer and die for me to eat them. And I was eating them unconsciously. Okay, I'll put this in my body, tastes good, whatever, it's chicken. And now I had to detox that from my heart. It felt not so good. So for me to go back to eating meat, I mean, it would have to be a survival situation for me to do that.
Yeah.
I don't disagree. Eating meat is a fantastic way of building muscle and protein and very easy to do this, but I can't go into that world anymore. I can't step into that.
Mm.
Only for a survival situation. And then I would, because I've experienced that pain of, I know exactly what this does to me. I can't touch it ever again.
Yeah.
So,
That's why I'm saying like everybody is different, and the way that meat interacts with specific human is completely its own uh its own thing, you know? It's like its own particular ecosystem. So the fact that you have attuned yourself towards your vessel now understands that this is not going to help me with my elevator ascension. And so,
yes,
yeah, that's valid. That's a valid point.
I would continue forward and challenge you here a little bit that
Hmm.
I'm willing to make the conclusion that it's not worthy for human beings to eat the animal products. I understand you're in the situation, or people might be in the situation that some pain will have to come. And people have told me they stopped eating meat and they went through all sorts of medical illnesses. Nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to see that. But at least put your consciousness towards this direction that it's not helping the earth to have 100 billion animals or, have slaughterhouses of chickens having their lives ended, millions in a day. It's not conscious.
Do you think that animals have a hierarchy?
In what sense? What do you mean?
Do you think that it's okay to, let's say, eat fish as opposed to meat like a pescatarian would, or understand that there's different animals that have different factors of like, should I eat this, should I not eat this, in the way that it's shown? Because a lot of people might be like, hey, we can eat insects in the future, you know, that's the meat or whatever. So, do you think there's a
Yeah,
hierarchy in terms of that? And
ab-
how can we personally escape that hierarchy to more of a
absolutely.
unity?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a hierarchy. So maybe the worst thing you can eat on the earth is a human being. That's as worse it gets. Second is
Yeah.
maybe a very intelligent life form like a dolphin, probably that won't interact well with your human system. And then going
Mm,
down the level of intelligence, a cow, not the best to eat. Even lower is a pig, then dog, chicken, and lower.
mm,
And fish is the least intelligent life. Not dolphins, but swimming fish. So I guess if you absolutely must, if you're still something, I thought that I could get away with this too. And I'll tell you this story. It's quite tragic because I was in that part of the world that you were in. I was in Australia and I was diving in the ocean and I went spearfishing on all things. I don't know how I bounced back to it, but I don't know, whatever. So I went spearfishing and luckily not much luck there. I didn't. Anyway, someone shot this fish. It was like a crab or it was like a walking crab. It looked very weird. It wasn't a regular fish. It was kind of like crab-like and looked like a puffer fish almost, but not like that, not venomous.
mm,
And he gifted it to me, and I thought, oh my God, this is gonna be so delicious because I love crab meat and lobsters. So it was a kind of a lobster. And so I took him home and I cooked him, and I just saw it, the energy of this. It's so dense, it's so strong. It won't be easy to process. Intuitively knew, but hey, I'm hungry and this is here, and I'm not gonna waste it. I ate this fish, and then I had one of the worst nightmares of my life. This being's consciousness was there was like hundreds of them in our room, and they're all
mm.
monster-like looking. I thought, oh, okay, That. So I paid for that.
Mm.
But
That
yeah.
reminds me of something similar. I remember going to Bali and eating the luwak coffee. There's like mongoose poop coffee, basically. The mongoose takes these coffee beans or whatever and like poops them out, and like there's a coffee or something that's made from that. And when I first initially like was trying this, I was like, what am I getting myself into? Like this is a really bad idea, huh, Ryan G? And so, but we still did it. And there was a mongoose in the actual farm staring at us, like locking eyes with us, like, you know what you're about to do right now, huh? You know? And we felt that immediately, that visceral reaction of like, oh, well, let's see what this is about. Now the coffee was okay. It wasn't particularly something um, good, bad. It was an acquired taste. It was very interesting. But afterwards, I noticed that my consciousness was taking on this very strange kind of mongoose or weasel consciousness. If that makes sense. Like it was honing into things and trying to like, you know, zoom in, zoom out of things and areas. It was like I was on hunter mode or something. I was like, this isn't me. This isn't my consciousness. This is the luwak or whatever it's called. So, um, yeah, I do think that shamans originally they used to eat meat and take on the consciousness of the animal itself so that they could understand and heal the particular paradigms of that animal as they're activating that state. So it's about that cleanup work that they're doing that's making it a more fine-tuned process for them. But regular people, they're not doing that. They're eating, KFC in the middle of the night or something. So it's very different. And yeah, once you go into this world, your body will tell you the answer. I always muscle test before I eat. Should I eat this? Yes or no? No breaks. Yes, it's strong. So I create this system with my own body where I can test for truth. And a lot of my friends ask me things like, "Should I text this girl? Should I, do muscle test for me, bro?" And I'll do that happily. So if you want anything muscle tested, let me know.
Nice. Yeah, to go into that more, this concept was I learned from Sadhguru first. He said that you take on the memory of the things that you eat. So you will
Yeah.
become like the animals you eat, ironically enough, or if you believe that, if you don't believe that, it's a fact. And I have a little story to back up with this. I was in Malaysia once and I went to the local mall and I wanted to get some food and I looked into this little KFC offshoot. It wasn't KFC, it was some other fast food joint. And I looked inside and it was like very obese, overweight people, and I could feel the energy of cows. These people were literally becoming like cows because that's exactly what they're eating. The consciousness of the animal, the energy of the animal, the memory of the animal will go into you. If you can easily process that and you have spiritual competence, all right, no problem. But most people, you do not. 90% or more. You're gonna hurt yourself.
Yeah, because they're on autopilot. So it's like they're taking on the consciousness of the cow itself rather than understanding they have their own consciousness, a clean, solid vessel, and then they're interacting through an interface with this cow energy that they're consuming. So, yeah, completely two different things. But I don't think it's fair to say that, if you eat a fish, you become a fish. Like, I don't think it's that straightforward and reductionist, but I get what you're trying to say.
Yes.
And I agree with that. Yeah.
Hmm. Do you know anything about Patanjali and his 8 limbs of yoga and how food ties into this or eating meat ties into this? Has he ever talked about it?
I haven't specifically looked into the meat eating factor of Patanjali, but I do know that he's originally uh, a Naga being. He's a snake being. He's a protector being, uh, and that's why I think doing certain yoga asanas helps you break out of that lower, like slow tamasic nature of the human body, like just sluggishness and that kind of stuff. So I do know that there is an effect with that because it's still he is technically an animal consciousness talking about animals, you know. So in that way, I do see the link. But yeah, what do you know about the meat eating aspect of yoga?
Oh, well, primarily what the Buddha taught, that's what I'm most skilled in.
Mhm.
He didn't really have anything to say against this. In fact, his cousin tried to ban meat eating by monks, but the Buddha refused. No, no, you keep eating. Whatever is thrown into your bowl, you consume that. As long as you know
Mhm.
that it wasn't killed for you or wasn't killed in your eyesight or some other
Yeah.
kind of very intense or very close rules, very intimate, he said
Mm.
abolish that. And from what Sadhguru says, Sadhguru talked about eating meat and various things like that. Sadhguru is also quite lax on the animal ethics side. He understands that they're animals and this is just how it works right now. But yeah, it hurts quite badly looking at animal slaughterhouses and thinking, okay,
Yeah.
how can this end? I have to do something.
Have you ever watched the movie Samsara Brother? It's a meditative documentary by Ron
Um,
Frick.
I've watched a glimpses of it, not watched the full thing, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So that's a real eye opener. That movie. The factory farming scenes in that are very shocking, to say the least. It just shows you straight up what happens. And I like the movie because it begins and ends with this impermanence theme, right? They spend so much time with these meticulous details on these tankas that they, you know, uh, with this little small paste or whatever they're making, taking such refinement and then getting rid of it completely. And yeah, it goes to show you that that cycle of life, it's like we're always in a samsara, we're always in a loop, but we have to create the consciousness that is going to override the loop. You need a mantra for yourself that keeps you alive in this video game called life. For me, it's flow. For you, Shiva, maybe it's Shiva's energy, you know. But at the same time, it's all one mantra that keeps us going forward and moving through this game, you know, this divine play.
I think this is a good place to end it. Thank you for joining us on the show. You're welcome to come back. We'll discuss more spiritual ideas and subscribe. Please let us know where the viewers can find you.
Awesome. Yeah, you can find me on Primal Sutra on Instagram or primalsutramysteryschool.com. Flow Zone Academy, that's FLOZ or ZONE Academy. We have a Telegram group where, you know, I channel every week, new podcasts coming every week. And yeah, amazing stuff. Things slowly bubbling. Thank you for having me on, Shiva. May the flow be with you all.